Am I the a-hole for not accommodating my brother-in-law during my birthday dinner and telling him his taste wasn't my priority? I, 26 female, recently had a birthday. Some family and I went out to dinner to celebrate. The guests were me, my husband, my parents, his parents, my 2 brothers and sister, and my husband's brother. So here's the deal. My brother-in-law is weird about eating out. He'll only order a burger or fries and chicken nuggets in a food place, no matter how fancy, no matter how much choice there is. He goes so far as not even looking at menus and places and will ask for nuggets and fries by default, and will be very difficult if a place doesn't have those on the menu. I know this, but I won't accommodate it when it comes to something I'm supposed to enjoy. When my husband and I were discussing the dinner, I told him to let his brother know they didn't do burgers or fries at his place. Cool. He still says he's showing up. The dinner arrives. Everybody's looking at the menu except him. He waits, and when we're all ordering, he asks the server for fries and nuggets. He explains they don't have those, and then my brother-in-law asks about a burger. They don't do those either. He asks if they could make up some fries just for him, and the server explains they can't accommodate those. He starts sulking, and my husband makes apologies and says they'll get the final order to them ASAP. Brother-in-law goes off about how crappy it was that I didn't think of him with dinner, and we should have made sure there was something for him to eat. I pointed out he was told and he chose to come, that it was not my job to accommodate for his pickiness when eating out, and that his taste was not a priority during my birthday dinner. Brother-in-law calls me a selfish a-hole and walks off. My mother-in-law tries to excuse his outburst, that he's just hungry, while my father-in-law can't stop apologizing. My husband confronted his brother after, and his brother said he was still pissed at me. My husband said we were the ones that are pissed and had made a scene during my birthday dinner. Their mom is saying I could have been more accommodating. It is only fair to consider guests when inviting them out. On one hand, I'm annoyed that he acted that way, but on the other, I don't want to cause any trouble between us and my husband's family. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. You left out the best part. How old is brother-in-law? 30. That changes everything. Your 30-year-old brother-in-law still needs his kiddie meal in every restaurant he goes to no matter what. Might as well have stopped at McDonald's and brought his own Happy Meal. Not the a-hole. Their mom is saying I could have been more accommodating, and it's only fair to consider guests when inviting them out. You did accommodate him by informing him ahead of time that those items weren't available on the menu. You didn't have to do that, because checking the menu should be something he does for himself, knowing that he's so picky. He still chose to come, knowing those items weren't available. That's on him. I'm fairly picky myself and always check the menu before we go someplace new. But I'm not burger, chicken nuggets, and fries only picky. I will wreck some chicken tikka masala and have made it a point to develop my eating habits enough that I can find something off of basically any culture's menu that I can at least nibble on. OP is super not the a-hole. I don't care if your brother-in-law is 6 or 36. This is the dumbest thing I've read. Not the a-hole in any way, shape, or form. Even your husband warning him is hilarious. Your mother-in-law excusing his behavior is hilarious. You're clearly not that a-hole. What a bizarre and embarrassing situation. The family's let this little turd get away with things for too long if they're cuddling him like that. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for refusing to allow ex's boyfriend to come to our little Father's Day get-together? Don't know why I, 27 male, should even be asking, but here I am because seems people think I am. My ex and I have a son together, or more like she birthed our son and I care for him because she hasn't been part of his life at all. Before this, back when we were just friends, she had a boyfriend. They broke up. She was looking for a rebound, and we were hooking up for a few weeks. They got back together. She got pregnant, and for 9 months there was a big question mark for who the dad was. We waited till after she gave birth to find out which one of us it was. During the pregnancy, she changed her mind about being involved and was thinking about adoption. He supported whatever she decided as far as I know. I didn't want to give up my son though after finding out his mine. So we agreed I'd get full custody and she wouldn't be involved except for paying child support, which I don't really use but put that away for him in case it's needed. For the last 7 months of my son's life, her boyfriend has tried reaching out offering to babysit. Take him off my hands. I declined because I didn't need his help. And it's just weird considering he's still with my ex. His insistence has gotten to where I've needed to tell him to back off and let me have my life with my kid. He's not gonna become part of it, and better to just not have contact. He has apologized and all, but then I hear back a couple months later as if nothing happened. Was having like a little barbecue thing for Father's Day at my place. For my friends, my parents, and other family. One friend in particular told him about it and he wanted to come over. A friend gave him a ride to my place and everything. I asked them both to leave right away when they were outside my building. He was just saying he wanted to see my son. And considering that we were both on the same boat a few months ago thinking we were both fathers, it kind of made sense to celebrate Father's Day with my son. But I told him the difference there was that I turned out to be the father and he wasn't. So it really doesn't make sense for him to take part in my barbecue with my family at all. The fact that my friend did this pissed me off so much, so didn't let either of them come. Once they left, I was retelling some of my friends what happened. But they think I'm an a-hole for kicking him out when he was already here, and wouldn't have been a problem letting him hang around. But for me, I don't want him thinking it's okay, or that it means he can be part of our lives in any way. And that was my main reason for shutting that down. It's super weird to me, so that's why I made them leave. But was I an a-hole for doing it? Not an a-hole. He thought he could celebrate Father's Day with you and your kid at a private barbecue because he was almost a father? No, that doesn't make sense. And the friend is also the a-hole. Yeah, that's weird. I get that the boyfriend was probably excited about the prospect and disappointed that he wasn't the father. But that has nothing to do with Opie or his barbecue. I think the boyfriend is not the a-hole, but the child's mother, the ex, is for not stepping in to stop her boyfriend from trampling Opie's boundaries. Not the a-hole, Opie. 100% not the a-hole. As a single mom with trust issues, this is all sorts of red flags. He was cool with giving the baby up when he thought it was his. Now he knows it isn't his and suddenly wants contact? This is creepy as hell. Is there a custody order in place? I'm assuming there is. If not, you need to file for one immediately for full physical and legal custody. If you already have one in place, I will immediately move to telling him that if he continues to try and pursue any type of custody of your child, that you're filing a restraining order. As for your friend that completely disrespected you by bringing some random to your home, I would remind them whose home that is, and tell him he's not allowed to invite anyone without your permission ever. This is a no-brainer in basic decency. Basically, everyone sucks here except for you, Opie. As soon as he started talking about taking kid off your hands, I noped the hell out. Personally, I'd be looking into a no-contact order or whatever the correct legal term for it is. Cause this is sketchy AF. Not an a-hole. What was he thinking? It was completely inappropriate for him to come to your house. I would have kicked him out immediately. Really, I don't know. Not sure if maybe my friend made him think it would be okay or what. Like, I've made it clear for months he's not going to be around. Now, for the next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to pay for my friend's expensive dress which I ruined while I was drunk? I don't drink alcohol at all. No health reasons. I just choose not to since me drinking has resulted in a lot of very impulsive, very bad decisions in the past, so I haven't had a drop for 3 years. My friends know this, and they also know the reason. Now, one of my childhood friends is getting married, and on her bachelorette party, I specifically requested that I only be served virgin cocktails. Nobody objected, and my friend said she covered it with our waiters. Turns out she didn't. And she specifically chose drinks where the juice and energy drink would mask the taste of alcohol. After the 4th round, I realized I'm pretty well buzzed, and she fessed up, saying she just wanted me to be my old fun self for one night. Sadly, my old fun self decided this was reason enough to be impulsive again, and I emptied my red-colored drink on her expensive white dress, which is now ruined. Now, I'm uninvited from the wedding until I apologize and pay for her dress. Since I'm always the one saying that being drunk is never an excuse for your own bad decisions, which is true, and yes, ruining her dress was a heavy overreaction. But since she took the decision of not getting drunk out of my hands, I really don't feel this applies in this situation. All our friends are on her side. Am I the a-hole if I don't pay and just skip the wedding? Edit. The dress in question is not her wedding dress. It's a white cocktail dress that cost her around $200 as I was informed afterwards. Yes, expensive is relative. This is expensive to us. Now for the comments. Not a a-hole. I strongly believe that if you choose to drink, you are responsible for the consequences. She removed your ability to choose, so has to deal with the consequences of her decision. This, not a-hole. This is the simplest and most concise way to think about it. Like you, I'm not one to excuse what people do when drunk as though they aren't responsible for their own actions. But in this case, your anger was completely justified. It may have been a little crappy to ruin her dress, but it's not at all on the level of intentionally spiking you with something you specifically told her you didn't want in your body. She violated your consent, and she's the one who should apologize. If you get that apology and feel like it, sure, you could apologize about the dress. But to apologize first would be to concede that her dress is somehow more important than your bodily autonomy, which it is not. I'd suggest not going to the wedding, and maybe not being her friend at all if she can't see she's in the wrong here. Sounds like your other friends are just as bad. Not at a-hole. If this was some random guy giving her drinks with alcohol in them without her consent, then the police would have been called. So she drugged you. Not at a-hole. Yeah, seriously. I'd be so upset with this person for doing that. That's so messed up to spike someone like that. Was it an overreaction? Maybe. Did she deserve it? Absolutely. She violated your consent. I'm voting not at a-hole. And if I'm wrong and you are the a-hole, you are the completely justified a-hole. The a-hole the world sometimes needs. If this destroys the friendship, remember this. She destroyed it when she violated your consent. Not when you got alcohol all over her. Last story. Am I the a-hole for being honest with my sister-in-law about why we never host family meals with her family? My husband and I have been together since high school. Married straight out, and we have 3 children together with another on the way. I have known his family a long time. I get along really well with them for the most part. But I will be honest that we have not hosted a family dinner with his family in a very long time. Our reason for this is simple. How much my sister-in-law's oldest 2 children, 11 and 9, eat. These kids have huge appetites. We're talking 3 pieces of chicken with a roast dinner, 2 or 3 helpings of roast potatoes, extra veggies, extra gravy. Between them, they could easily scoff what our household would eat in one meal. They are active, very sporty, and we know this lends itself to it. But it gets expensive. And my sister-in-law and the kids gets pissy when someone doesn't allow them multiple helpings. We have seen issues with her and another sister when the sister said no to thirds for the kids. And if you leave the food on the table for people to take what they want, the kids leave so little for anyone. My other sister-in-law admitted she needs to spend an extra $20 on extra food just for them, and that she struggles to prepare enough food. So my husband and I made a decision that we would not put ourselves in that position. He considered asking her to bring extra food for her kids, but other sister-in-law suggested that before and sister-in-law was pissed. Anyway, my sister-in-law made a few comments about us not hosting before. How we owed everyone some really good dinner. Then a couple of weeks ago, she asked me directly why we never host. I admit I kind of evaded the question with her then. But she brought it up again a few days later, and I was honest. I told her I did not feel we could keep up or afford to accommodate her older 2's appetites, and we knew she felt like it was on the host to provide enough. So we simply didn't. She was pissed. At me and at my husband. She told me I was so rude to say that to her. That I should not blame her kids for our refusal to feed a family. Other sister-in-laws backing me up, and so is my husband. My husband's brother is on sister-in-law's side, and said it's only fair to do it for family and don't ever blame the kids for adult choices. Am I the a-hole? Info. How often was this happening? I have family over maybe once or twice a year, so the idea of an extra $20 expense so infrequently would seem a bit silly to complain about. So I'm assuming your meals are occurring much more frequently? Maybe that's the actual problem. Would it still be a burden to feed these children if they were coming by once every 6 months? I think that also depends on the expectations of what's being served too. Because my sister-in-law insisting that it's time they hosted a nice dinner for everyone, that could easily run up to several hundred to feed a large group of people, let alone making sure that there are several extra servings for these kids. If we go off the assumption that they want a chicken roast to be served, I'm using this as the example since it's the one Opie gave, we'd need 1 chicken just for those 2 kids, as well as a whole platter of everything else for them. That could easily double or triple the budget, depending on where OP shops and what they're expected to make. One roast chicken can easily serve 4 people dinner. It's not like whole chickens are cheap. Info: how often does sister-in-law host you? Sister-in-law has hosted 3 or 4 times since OP and her husband got married, which I'm guessing is a long time ago. Ding ding ding! If her family eats more, then there's an argument that you should have to host less. But the argument that she should always have to host, so she's spending money on you and you never reciprocate, hardly seems fair. Exactly this. And why can't menus be changed to be more economical? Why have a roast and chicken? Since when are potatoes bank breakers? Yes, I understand even potatoes could be expensive for some people. They are not expensive compared to a roast. Extra gravy? That's just nitpicking. Not day-ho. I think it's time to stop hosting family dinners and have a potluck instead, if our kids have ferocious appetites. This would work with reasonable people, but I've watched people like the sister-in-law bring a bag of chips or some rolls and consider it a fair trade when their household polishes off multiple trays of food. Not day-ho. It's not so much how much they're eating, but that they take most of the food and don't leave enough for other people. That's just poor manners. This sister-in-law needs to feed her little garbage disposals at home before taking them to a meal at someone's house. Yes, I've done it. Had an active teenager who sort of runs for fun and could eat his weight in pasta every day. You do what you gotta do.